Welcome to part two of Ivanna Lisette Ortiz, the woman who went after Rihanna. A very quick apology for the time period between the posting of part one and this. Life was lifing, and I also have a very severe herniated lower back disc that I've been dealing with. And unfortunately, it has really been impacting my life negatively. So I do apologize. But here we are. So let's get right back into where we left off. We were digging into Ivanna and going back into litigation that she has filed and litigation against her. Now, if you look at the Orange County records in Florida, Ivanna pops up a lot. Now, there's some in here that are a different Ivanna, but otherwise, primarily, these are all related to Ivanna. Now, her and her ex-husband, Jed, did have a bankruptcy back in 2013, and they also had a divorce, involving children back in 2015. Now, in regards to the bankruptcy, it has a continued pattern for Ivanna in regards to the fact that she does have continued litigation with credit card companies suing her, and I'll show you those for unpaid credit card debt. Now, just an interesting example of a little bit of an Uno reverse that Ivanna did when it came to court is that T-Mobile, this was her evidence, is they withdrew over $3,000 from her bank account. Now, we can assume that was potentially due to unpaid debt, but, it didn't state exactly why, because what happens is that her claim was she went to small claims court to file to get that over $3,000 back. And saying that they had no right to do that, that she did not owe this debt, et cetera, et cetera. Essentially, the final outcome was that she actually did get her money back because they simply didn't really reply to the petition or show up. So it was an automatic favor for her in the litigation that they had to give it back. Now, this occurred in 2022. So did T-Mobile ever get their money back or go after these funds? I don't know, but just a little example of her litigation. And then we have here, as I mentioned previously, this is Synchrony Bank. This was filed in December of 2023, where again, it is credit card debt, where they were going after her for just over $10,000 of debt. And again, just to state, she does have lawyers that she gets to help file for her in these cases and fight against any of these claims that do come her way. Now, I know the one I mentioned was, did she sue Billie Eilish? And yes, she did. And that was via Live Nation. And again, this goes back to her parasocial relationship against celebrities. Rihanna was not just a single outlier here. And I'm going to show you a video shortly in relation to this document, because she makes a claim in her video that she successfully sued Billie Eilish, which I will show you that it was not exactly successful. So this does reference a concert that Billie Eilish was to have that was going to take place on October 14th, 2025 at the Kia Center in Orlando, Florida. The claim that Ivanna made in her lawsuit was that the city was going to violate requirements under the local and state law, that they didn't have the right permits for this, that they didn't provide notice or have community consent that was required, and that the plaintiff herself and members of the surrounding community would suffer immediate and irreparable harm if the concert is allowed to proceed, including but not limited to loss of peaceful enjoyment of property, noise-related medical symptoms for vulnerable residents, especially elderly and children, as well as diminished public safety due to traffic crowding, I believe it was supposed to say, or emergency response gaps. And it says the balance of equities favors that the plaintiff, Ivanna, because the event could be postponed or relocated, whereas the community cannot recover from the violations. And just a reminder, this was set to be held at the Kia Center, which is specifically set to hold events and concerts like this. It's made for this. Now, you might be wondering, what did Ivanna want from this? She wanted some of the following: a possible temporary restraining order that would stop the concert from actually happening. She also wanted some possible financial relief. The amount of financial relief was marked off here on the first cover of that sheet, which was marked as between $75,000 to $100,000 in that claim. And again, this is filed via Live Nation. This should obviously come as no surprise, but this was dismissed, and it was dismissed as it was denied as moot. Now, originally it was filed as an emergency petition for a temporary injunction, and she had filed it on October 14th when the concert was supposed to happen on October 15th. Now, this was denied on October 16th, and it even stated that this event had already concluded, so there was no further effective relief that could be even granted. So it was completely denied and dismissed. But one additional motion was filed by Ivanna. On the 28th of October, she did file that she was hoping for Live Nation to pay her $401 to essentially refund her filing fees that she did to file the initial lawsuit against them. So, she had one more trick up her sleeve, which it just kind of, again, this shows just the mindset of what was going on, because this is a lot to do, to go through all this trouble, all this paperwork, to go through the court system, to file something against Billie Eilish through Live Nation, thinking that, this, again, parasocial relationship that she needed to do against Billie Eilish. Now, I'm going to show you the video where she mentions where she had the successful court thing against Billie Eilish, and it's referencing this specific case. But as you can see, it was not at all successful.
Wants to be hit back. Yeah. Go ask to be hit hard and fast, and you will. That girl got hit. She's like, hit me. She went out around the country saying, hit me hard and fast, or hit me hard and soft, or whatever the heck she said. She came to Orlando. I filed a whole motion against that girl. I filed a whole case against her, and she didn't come and do that. And she did get hit. I'm not saying that spitefully. I have a good heart. I have the heart of David.
Now, moving on into some of the other court cases, there is a court case that is still actually currently ongoing. It's an active case where she did have a car accident, and her family references this, that has been filed in January of 2025. And they are seeking damages in excess of $50,000. And, I can go into some more details of it, but, she is a defendant in this case and she was harmed. But I question if there will be anything that's actually going to cause harm in this case because of her actions that have occurred here in California. And just, again, this is fully an opinion-based aspect. Okay, none of this is fact here, but one of the things they put in this lawsuit, and I'm reading directly from a paragraph in the lawsuit here, is that they do state one of the reasons that they're asking is that they say plaintiff Ivanna Ortiz suffered bodily injury and resulting pain and suffering, disability, inconvenience, disfigurement, mental anguish, loss of the capacity for the enjoyment of life, expensive hospitalization, medical and nursing care and treatment in the past and in the future, loss of earnings, loss of ability to earn money in the future, and aggravation, activation of a previously existing condition or latent disease defect, in suffering, etc. The normal things you put in a type of lawsuit like that. I think when we look at what Ivanna did, by driving all the way from Florida to California and executing this alleged thing at Rihanna's home is pretty extreme. And this is just coming from someone. Again, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have a horrible herniated disc in my lower back. I have trouble sitting in a vehicle to go pick up my child from school 15 minutes away without having numbness in my feet. I have to rearrange the way I'm trying to sit. I can't, so for someone to have a lawsuit with saying pain and suffering and stuff. I think actions that she's taken right now in her current case might affect this active car accident case because of what's going on right now. I'm just curious to see what's going to happen there, if that's going to interfere, as well as the fact of, I mean, I don't know how she's going to appear in this car accident case or what's going to happen if she does recover any funds and how that works out. If you're somebody that is in the legal field, I would love to have input on that. I'm just curious how that works out. If you wind up being incarcerated, but you do recover funds from a previous something like this, a car accident case. Now, the next part we're going to talk about when it comes to the legal aspect of Ivanna is when it comes to her mental health and issues with her family being Baker acted, as well as custody issues. And was she also ordered to not have firearms? I'm going to show you evidence of that. As I just mentioned about this car accident, family has stated that she was very different after this car accident, and they think that had a lot to do with it. However, I don't think it was just that, because there was a lot of incidents previous to this car accident. Could that exacerbate things? Absolutely. But to try to say that it was just a car accident, I don't think so, because there's plenty of signs and issues occurring before. Now, she was previously involuntary committed under Florida's Baker Act, and she later lost custody of her 10-year-old child. Ivanna was Baker acted previously in Florida prior to 2023, so way before this car accident. And the Baker Act in Florida permits up to a 72-hour involuntary or voluntary psychiatric hold. Now, while that is something that can be done, of course, as we know, after 72 hours, that's it. Then you're released. That doesn't mean you have to take medication. That doesn't mean that is a long-term thing that gets you help. It's a temporary solution if you don't have support afterwards, if you don't go to appointments, if you do not have a supportive family or friends around you to help you and your mental health. Now, the attorney for Ivanna's ex-husband did make a statement to media, so take that with a grain of salt because this is an ex-husband's attorney, but he described her as the following: articulate and very believable. He stated that, quote, if you sit down with her, she's very convincing, but she does bizarre things. In April of 2024, a Florida judge did award her ex-husband, Jed, full physical custody of their child. And as previously stated, there was a previous domestic violence issue where she did hit him in front of their child. Now, this full physical custody completely stripped Ivanna of all contact. It completely barred her from any in-person, phone, video, text, email, or any third-party communication with her child until further order from the court. Now, during sworn testimony, Ivanna did admit that she had been previously Baker acted, though she did claim it was based on false accusations. The judge had cited concerning testimony about her mental health and did order a social investigation. Okay, this got really long very quickly, so I'm going to upload part 3 immediately after this. So I'm going to end right here. See you over in part 3.